This big structure up here is your hyoid bone.
At first, Christina Sandhouse seems no different from the other students in her major, speech-language pathology. But when you know her story, the fact that she's in college at all is something of a miracle.
In the beginning, the seizures were small and they were in my ankle, and they were pulsating about the size of a dime. And it was barely noticeable, and it didn't limit me in any way.
That wouldn't last. Up until the age of 7, Christina Sandhouse had been a happy, active, only child, the apple of her parents' eye. She loved sports and excelled in school, but within 6 months of that first pulsation, everything in Christina's life would change.
I got sick in August, and by February, I was having over 100 seizures a day, and it was just going up my whole left side.
Christina was diagnosed with Rasmussen encephalitis, which was a virus that attacked her right brain.
Christina and her family at first sought relief in the drugs available to control Rasmussen's, but were warned that there was no lasting pharmaceutical solution to her problem, and left untreated, the disease would likely kill her long before she reached college age. Desperate for a solution, they visited Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore, where Dr. John Freeman informed them that there was a cure. But when he told them what that cure involved, they couldn't believe it. And who could blame them?
The only thing that will cure it is taking out that whole right hemisphere.
The whole right hemisphere. What Dr. Freeman was proposing seemed impossible. The total removal of the right half of the 8-year-old's brain.
We went from the little tremor in the ankle to pancreatitis to over 100 seizures a day. And when you get to that point, when she is not living her quality life, it's time to make that decision.
As Christina's condition continued to worsen, the family contemplated the unbelievable. But how could a child function or even live at all without fully half of the organ from which all life flows?
For reasons that are unclear, God gave us all spare parts. When you take out half of the brain at an early age, the other half largely takes over.
In Christina's operation, the doctors would be removing the right hemisphere of the brain, which controls, among other things, movement on the body's left side. The remaining left hemisphere is the brain's speech center. Once the right half was removed, Christina would have only limited use of her left hand and leg. But since intellect and memory are located in both brain hemispheres, all of her other mental functions would remain intact. The operation on February 13, 1996 would take a record 14 hours. The brain would be removed piece by piece until its entire right side was gone. It was grueling for the patient and the surgical staff, but Dr. Ben Carson, who performed the procedure, believes the alternative was no alternative at all.
The natural course with Rasmussen's is that the seizures continue to spread throughout the hemisphere. It gets worse and worse, harder and harder to control. We've actually seen people who were in status epilepticus.
Meaning?
Meaning that they were having seizures 24/7.
Christina emerged from her operation alive and alert, but with what felt like super migraines. The little girl had to work through the pain as she received post-operative therapy. But then, sooner than anyone expected, that miracle began to emerge.
45 days after surgery, and I'm saying max 45 days, she was back in the classroom with the children on the same level as she was prior to her surgery.
I'm studying to be a speech pathologist.
That was 11 years and many hours of therapy ago. Today, in addition to her college career, Christina, her mother, and her stepfather, Al, tell her story to schools, to community groups, and to other families dealing with Rasmussen's. As her doctors predicted, her right arm and leg are not fully functional. Which is why Christina gets around in her own specially equipped car, outfitted with a steering wheel knob, a single-handed turn signal, a truck-size rearview mirror, and a Tweety Pie spare tire. Christina says she is one of only 3 people in the world with a hemispherectomy who drives.
You know, every once in a while, I'll have those feelings where everybody else around me is perfect, but then I have to realize that we all carry our own crosses, and mine just happened to be on the outside. God has a plan for everything, and I just continue to pray and look for strength to continue.